What's good, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of On the Mic. I am your host, Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones. I hope everybody is having a warm and wonderful Thursday evening. I hope you guys have been safe, traveling in the snow this week. I hope you guys have had a great week, have a great week, has a positive week. And I hope everyone is being safe. Hope everybody is continuing to socially distance, keep their hands clean, wear their mask while traveling. And it's good to see everybody this evening, man. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you are tuning in, please report yourselves. And also, I just want to give a disclaimer. My neighbor has a dog. She's not here. If you hear the dog going nuts, there's nothing I can do about it. He's a cute dog, but he's a lonely dog. So if you hear a few barks throughout this live stream, hey, just know it's him. I don't have a dog, so I can't do anything about that. Also, I just want to give a quick reminder that On the Mic will air every Thursday at 7 p.m. I started a little late this evening. I do apologize for that. I was doing some last minute preps, but we will air every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Facebook and on YouTube. Also, to check out the YouTube page, you can go to the On the Mic Productions YouTube channel on YouTube. Please smash that subscribe button. Please check out past episodes of On the Mic and click the like button. If you enjoy the episodes of On the Mic, please share the channel. Share the episodes that you enjoy. Share it on your Facebook page, your Instagram page, TikTok, any social media that you use. Please share the On the Mic Productions YouTube channel page. I would deeply appreciate that. Also, if you want to be a guest on the Mic, please hit my inbox. Once again, if you want to be a guest on the Mic, if you want to collaborate, if you want to come up with a topic, that we can come on here and discuss, please hit my inbox. Let me know. Right on my wall. Any post that I make, it don't even have to be pertaining to On the Mic. Please hit me up. Let me know. Also, after On the Mic is over with, you can also check out a wrestling podcast that I'm a part of with some of my closest buddies. You can check out the Under the Ring podcast. We stream live every Thursday at 8:30 on Twitch. If you want to follow us, go to twitch.tv/undertheringpod. Once again, to follow us, go to twitch.com/TV/undertheringpod. Please give us a follow. Please share the Twitch page on your social media platforms. Also, my sister has a Twitch page as well. You can follow my sister's Twitch page at twitch.tv/mo_2_times. Once again, you can follow my sister's Twitch page. If you look at the ticker right here, you can go to twitch.tv/mo_2_times. Please support gaming. Please support women's gaming. Please support Black women in gaming. And last but not least, I would appreciate it if you check out my wife's Etsy shop. It's at etsy.com/shop/RavenJArt. If you love her work, if you appreciate her artwork, if you have bought merch from her in the past, please, I appreciate you. And if you want to buy some merchandise, if you want to buy some her artwork, this is the place to go. Etsy.com/shop/RavenJArt. I would deeply appreciate that. Now, I just said a lot, didn't I? Woo. Now, so there's been this movie that's been talked about, right? A movie that, if you look at it from the surface, is very, simplistic. You only have two actors. They're in one setting. They're at home. It's at a particular time of the day. It's late at night. And on the surface, it looks very simplistic. But this movie, because of those very simplistic things, also makes it very unique. And because of the subject in hand, this is a movie that there's two individuals, they're together, they're a couple. And after, this night where one of them is a filmmaker, the other one's a former actress, they come home from this award ceremony. This guy, he gets his, film recognized, he gives an acceptance speech and blah, 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 blah. And this extremely detailed extremely vitriolic, extremely passionate, extremely petty, extremely unique argument takes place, right? And the people who I'm talking about in this movie, the title of this movie is called Malcolm and Marie. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy, Malcolm and Marie.
They're in one setting, they're at
I'm sorry, y'all. I want to make sure that I'm seeing everything correctly on my Facebook page. I do apologize. Let me do something real quick. Man, I ain't gonna front, y'all. I've been wanting to talk about this movie all week long. So, someone says Malcolm and what's her name? Malcolm and Marie. So, I first watched this movie on Tuesday, right? I watched it Tuesday evening, right before I was doing one of my other live streams with one of my great brothers on my wrestling page, Under the Ring. And as I was watching this, I had a view, and I was watching this, I was just like, damn, like, I've never seen an argument that has so many ways of being stopped, but because people kept putting their foot in the mouths, it just kept going. Like, mind you gotta think there's alcohol involved, there's emotion, there's just a lot. There's a lot to unpack, right? And as I was watching this film, the first word that popped in my mind was, damn, this is such a toxic ass movie. And why in the hell would they release this right around the corner from Valentine's Day? And I'm just sitting here watching this movie just in awe. First of all, I'm thinking, I can't believe I am sitting through this long, drawn-out argument. And on the other end, I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe this argument is so spicy. And I'm going to say it now and I'm going to say it later. John David Washington, son of the legendary Denzel Washington, and Zendaya, the acting in this movie was so fucking good. It made you feel as if they were actually Malcolm and Marie, right? And I'll go into that later, but they did a great job, man. So I watched it again earlier, and I had a very different outlook, right? Like, so you know how sometimes, when you watch something or you read something, you have that initial reaction, right? You have that initial thought, like, this is that, I'm not going to read that again. I'm not going to watch it again. And I definitely let it be known amongst my close friends that the movie was good. The movie was really good, but it's a movie that I don't have to watch again. I've seen it once. I don't need to watch it again. I don't need to sit through another 2 hours of watching these two individuals argue. However, I watched it this afternoon, and let me show you how serious I was about this, man. I took notes, right? Like, look. I took a whole bunch of notes about this movie, bruh. Like, this movie, although it's fictional, when we talk about relationships, it has such a reality to it, right? Because so many of us have gone through similar scenarios in relationships in the past. Hell, some of us could be going through similar situations now in relationships. And it touches on so many angles, man. It touches on so many different emotions. It touches on so many different things such as insecurity and ego and everything. I'm thinking, damn. Hey, first of all, shout out to Angelica. I'm sorry. How you doing, Angelica? Shout out to you. She said that movie gave me a headache, Mike. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. when I first watched that movie, Angelica, when I first watched that movie Tuesday, I was sitting here like, God damn. Like, I was looking for a reason to turn the movie off. Like, that's how annoying the argument was after my, like, during my first view. I'm thinking, like, damn, like, can they, where's the stop sign here? Like, where is a stop sign? If there needs to be a stop sign, this argument needs to stop. It needs to stop. I need to, and I'm thinking to myself, bro, why don't you create the stop sign? Why don't you press the back the back button? Why don't you exit out of this movie? You do not have to keep doing this to yourself. But I couldn't. And the movie was so spicy. And I'm like, ooh, and see me, I like mess. So I'm like, ooh, like this mess, like this argument is so messy, it's so spicy, it's so hateful. I can't keep my eyes off of it. So, like I said, I went ahead and I watched it again today. And from my take, I counted 5 arguments within this movie. 5. You have, you have this one huge mini book. You have this one huge mini book, right? This big ass book of a big ass argument book, and it has 5 different chapters, right? Like this argument had 5 different layers, at least to my count, right? And let me go ahead and talk about the first argument that I recognized, and it happened in with this movie. It went straight to the shits, right? You know, they pull up back to their house. You know, they get out the car, and immediately you see Marie storming into the house. Now, fellas, I ain't the smartest man in the world. You know, I ain't the most experienced, you know, when it comes to these relationships. You know what I'm saying? I mean, although next Thursday it will be my wife and I's 5th anniversary, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm getting there, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting the experience. You know, I'm not the most experienced, but I'm gaining experience, okay? If you see a woman, if you see your significant other walking out the car like that, not saying a word, and is walking 20 miles an hour, she's not the happiest person at that moment. And with Malcolm, you know, obviously they're just getting off, they're just coming back from this award show. You know, he's extremely happy, you know, he's excited, you know, his movie is getting recognized, you know, because it's a brilliant film. He's just bloviating, he's just going on and on and on, right? Going on and on and on about this and that and everything, and she's giving her banter back and forth. And man, let me tell you, he keeps going. They keep having this conversation. And this is one of the things that struck a nerve when he tells her, you don't work in film. And when he tells her that she doesn't work in film, boom, that's a trigger right there. It's a trigger. And as she's going along, and they mention the lead in his film, right? This woman named Taylor. And they start going back and forth about Taylor, you know, she's talking about her, you know, how she doesn't really like Taylor, you know, and this and that. And they're getting the arguing, right? And when you know, when you're with your significant other, or if you're arguing with a close friend of yours or a sibling or significant other, you know their trigger points. Just like they know your trigger points. You know what will set them off. You know what words to say. You know what sounds to make. You know what body movements to do. You know what to do to set an individual off, especially if you are close with that individual. So they're getting arguing. He's basically saying, you're upset. She says, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. You know, she's basically trying to tell him, let's drop it. Can we talk about this in the morning? Obviously, they get back. It's 1 o'clock in the fucking morning. It's late. You know what I'm saying? She's making this damn mac and cheese, this box mac and cheese right at. He's been drinking. He's excited. You know, she's trying to stop this argument from happening because she knows how he is. She tells him, "You are literally incapable of this escalating situation." So she's trying to tell you there, bruh. Shut up, drop it. We'll deal with it in the morning. Him, on the other hand, he gets back to the house. He immediately starts drinking. You know, that liquid courage starting to kick in. He's starting to feel himself. And boom, the argument ensues. They get into the argument, and he starts to point out how she was acting during the award ceremony. You know, he's starting to notice how people were, how people were reviewing her. You know, he starts telling her about the opinions of others. He says, talking about one of the filmmakers, you're probably upset. You're probably upset because he forgot to thank you. Actually, no. It was Taylor and also him who said this to Marie. They can sense that she's upset, but he doesn't have a sense of that because he is so wrapped around his accomplishment. He's not noticing that she's uncomfortable. Again, the lead actress and other people are telling her, "You're probably upset because he forgot to thank you." She tells him that. Instead of him acknowledging what she's saying, instead of him processing that line, he goes immediately to, "You are genuinely unstable." And yes, folks, like I said, I got a crap ton of notes here. I thoroughly dissected this movie, man. And I'm trying to tie it into real life situations as well. So for those, and also before I continue, for those of you who are just tuning in, welcome to the latest installment of On the Mic. I'm your host, Mike Jones. We are talking about The Bombshell, the movie that has been talked about all throughout social media within the past week, Malcolm and Marie. It is starring John David Washington and Zendaya. You can find it on Netflix. I'm telling you, it's a lot. This movie is a roller coaster. So please, if you haven't seen that, if you got Netflix, check it out. Awesome movie. Now, a lot of times when an argument starts, right? And most times during an argument, it's instead of me processing what you just said to me, I am basically building a wall. So and then while I'm building up that wall, I'm thinking of my counter argument to your argument. Like, I'm not thinking about what you're saying. I'm not processing what you're saying. I'm hearing you, but I ain't listening to you. And so many times, that's how these arguments build. And that's how these arguments get nasty. This is how a lot of vitriolic words get said. It's because a lot of times, one or the other does not take a moment to sit back and say, "Damn, maybe I was wrong. Let me process what he or she is saying. Let me dissect what he or she is saying. And let me try to understand their point of view without antagonizing them." So he calls her unstable. And another thing, he immediately talks about Taylor, right? Because she's the lead, she's the star of his movie. He immediately goes, "It is my job to make sure that she is comfortable." Okay, I get it that you're the director of this movie, you're the filmmaker, you have this lead actress, you're in this award ceremony, you want to make sure that your coworker is comfortable. But you have not noticed at one point in time how uncomfortable your significant other is at this event. Like, and you know what? He does acknowledges it, but he doesn't do anything about it. He doesn't do anything to make her comfortable, right? He doesn't do anything to put himself in her position and to try to fix the solution or try to make the solution better. All he is worried about is work. All he is worried about is what's going on surrounding him and surrounding his film. So they go on, they continue the argument, And after he says, it is my job to make her uncomfortable, she hits him back with, not at my expense. Like I just said. And obviously, throughout this argument, we know that Marie has a lot of insecurities, right? A lot of insecurities. And when you know someone, it doesn't even have to be a significant other. It can be your best friend. It could be your parent. It could be a sibling. It could be a coworker, whoever. Whenever you have someone whenever you are dealing with someone who has a bunch of insecurities, over time, you know what to say and what not to say. Over time, you know what to do and what not to do around this person, especially when they're in a position where they feel so vulnerable. Like I stated before, she was a former actress. She dealt with drug issues. She was a drug addict. That drug abuse derailed her acting career, right? They're at this award show. He's doing everything he can to make his star actress comfortable, and it's neglecting her in a space where she is extremely vulnerable, in a space where her insecurities are starting to overwhelm her because she wanted to be in this position. And because of her past, it kept her from being in this position. And he's not realizing that. He is neglecting her and he doesn't even know it. So, and then his response to what she said. She said that when he said that it was his job to make Taylor comfortable, she said, not at my expense. He says, actually, it is. Like, nigga, what are you doing? What are you doing? Again, here's the problem. Here's the issue. This is how this argument all starts. The fact that you are looking through your significant other to make someone else comfortable. You are looking through your significant other to make sure that everyone in this space is comfortable. Like she said, you think your mom, you think all the actors, you think the producers, you think all these people, and you didn't even think me. And the fact that he had the audacity to say this, it's like, bruh, you really want this argument to ensue. When you say that it actually is his duty to make this actress feel comfortable at your expense, you are asking to get cussed the hell out. You are asking to get your feelings hurt in this argument. So they go on. The first thing they do is they make up, they start to do this, they start to mess around, fool around with each other and stuff, and they're having this banter. They're going back and forth, he's talking about, what the reviews could be and stuff, and she's giving her intake and all this stuff, and they're having a good time, right? You think the argument's over. No. She asked him, why did you cast me, right? She keeps asking him, why didn't you cast me? And this is what he says, which starts argument number 2. He says, I always believed if you found a character that actually allowed you to be yourself, you would be astonishing. Let me read that again. I messed that all up. He said, I always believed if you found a character that actually allowed you to be yourself, you would be astonishing. Why is this important? Because to start this second argument, she's basically telling him, you wrote this whole movie about me. You wrote this movie about me. You filmed this movie about my life. You filmed this movie about my drug addiction. You filmed this about me going through drugs and all the things I had to go through when I was going through rehab and this and that. You made this character about me. And yet he is clearly ignoring that. He told her, and I'll read this again. I always believed if you found a character you actually allowed yourself to be, you would be astonishing. Fool, you just made a movie about her. You made this movie that has to do with her life and about her drug abuse. What are you talking about? Again, fellas, listening is so key, right? And she said, well, Malcolm, unfortunately, no one can really write me except you. Obviously, you can see at this point, Malcolm is putting his foot in his mouth, right? He has put both feet in his mouth, okay? When all of it and let me also point this out. As this argument is ensuing, Malcolm is continuing to drink. Like he's continuing to drink. So after the first argument, he goes back into the kitchen, pours him another drink. Obviously, Malcolm didn't need nothing else to drink, okay? He had too much to drink. And when you get that liquid courage, boy, I'm telling you, that liquid courage will get you saying some outlandish stuff. And it makes it outlandish, but it also makes it true. Because a drunk man's thoughts is a sober person's thoughts. A drunk man's words is a sober person's thoughts. I'll say it again because I butchered that. A drunk man's words is a sober person's thoughts. There we go. All right. So, and another thing that I enjoyed so much about this movie is, like I mentioned before, the pettiness, right? These two people are extremely petty during this argument. So, as this argument is taking place, they go outside. No, she goes outside. She's frustrated. She has a smoke, right? He sits down and he plays this song by William Bell, I Forgot to Be Your Lover, right? Because he's playing, because he's basically taking a dig at her saying, okay, I forgot to be your lover. Yeah, I'm putting all these things in front of you. Yes, I'm putting my career in front of you and this and that. And it's just eating her alive, right? It's eating her alive, and he's being ultra petty. This song goes on. And by the way, this was a song that was sampled by Jaheim and put that woman first. So look at William Bell, I Forgot to Be Your Lover. Jaheim put that woman first, was sampled this song. And it sounds just like it's a classic, man. So, and because she's so irate and so mad that he's playing this song, that he's being petty, she goes out into the woods to take a piss. Now, we've all been through these arguments, right? We've all been through this in an argument. There comes a point where you think of the pettiest thing to do or the pettiest thing to say, right? She could have easily gone to a room inside. She could have easily gone to a bathroom inside the house. She could have easily done that. She could have done that and then got done, slammed the door in his face, locked the door. Hell, he could have slept on the couch the rest of the evening. Hell, they could have argued through the door. But she goes outside into the woods. He gets paranoid. He's looking for her. And she's in the woods to take a piss. On one end, you could say, she's teaching him a lesson. You know what I'm saying? She's teaching him a lesson. She wants to let him know how it feels to miss her, you know, to miss her space, to miss her company. On the other end, that was just absolutely doing the most. Like Angelica said, the movie gave her a headache. Yes. There's a lot of things that were done and said in this movie that will give you a headache, that will stress you out. That is one of them right there. She was so mad that her ass ran out into the woods to take a piss. Oh man, this argument is so good, yet it's so petty. So she comes back in, irate, pissed off. They continue the argument, and she says, "You are the neediest man I've ever dated. At the same time, you are the least jealous man I've ever dated." And she goes on to say, "Work is all you have time for and care about." This is where the argument really starts to dig deep and it really starts to turn ugly. Okay. Like those first two arguments, actually, that first argument was enough, right? That first argument was enough to just say, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to bed. I'm done with this. I'm tired of arguing with you because Malcolm is an individual who lets his mouth get him in trouble, and he lets his mouth and lets his wit get him in trouble. And he just says all these nasty things because he doesn't know to compartmentalize and take things in and dissect them. He's someone who just lashes out, right? And because of that, this argument gets nasty. It takes a turn for the worse, man. And she tells him that work is all he has time for and all she cares about. So now she's challenging his manhood, right? She's challenging his pride. She's challenging his ego. And with men, I'm gonna keep it a buck, fellas. The male ego is a son bitch. The male ego is a son bitch, man. And when something taps into that ego in a negative way, we tend to lose our shit. We tend to lose our shit, man. And when she said that work was all he cared about, and I'm only laughing because of the pettiness in this argument. Like I said, this argument is so good and so petty. And he says, "You gave up your career in acting to become an emotional fucking support dog." Wow. Her words cut that deep that you had to go there. You had to take it there, bruh. Like, really? Like, really? You had to take it there, fam? That you become an emotional fucking support dog? Mind you, she was a former drug addict. She got herself clean. Obviously, she's still dealing with insecurities, and you still say that? You're basically saying that she's looking for pity? Oh man, like you are, like she said in the beginning, you do not have the ability to de-escalate a situation. All you do is escalate it. All you do is make it worse because of your sensitivity. So, and she mentioned, and then this is where it really cuts deep. He says that she wants to be an emotional support dog, and then she mentions that she didn't want to pursue her career in acting, and also mentions the fact that she was in rehab. He starts to mention things. He starts to throw things in her face, and a lot of times in an argument, we get so pissed off that we start throwing things in the other person's face. Oh, I did this for you. I was there for you. I did this. I did that. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be in this and this and that. We get so upset. We get so angry that we just start throwing these bombs at one another. He starts mentioning how he was there for her in rehab. He starts mentioning how he was still there he was still there for her when she was cheating on him. He starts mentioning all this shit. He starts mentioning all this stuff, and it's so vitriolic at this point. It's just like, damn, you're just digging yourself a deeper hole, bro. And because he does that, she goes on this rant. She goes on this rant basically saying that he's not original, that this whole time, she was just material in the story. She goes on this rant about how he really doesn't love her. She was only around, he was only there for her just because he wanted to finish this movie. Her life was his script. Her life was just a realistic movie that was just being played out, and he's benefiting from it. And she's going on and on and on. And the one thing that sticks out of everything that she said was the fact that she called him mediocre. Listen, we've all been there. Have you ever, when you're listening to someone just go off at you, or you're listening to someone, even if it's a nasty argument, or if it's just a debate, you're ever listening and then just one point sticks out to you? One word that is illuminated over everything else that an individual said? She is going in on him. And the one thing that sticks out, the one thing out of all the nasty shit she said, the word mediocre cut him so deep that he went outside in the woods and went completely off. And I ain't gonna lie, when he went off in those woods, I was laughing. I was dying on Tuesday when I watched it. I died earlier today when I watched it. Like, bruh, she said some crazy shit to you. And the word mediocre is what ticked you off. Again, tapping into that ego in a negative way. Ladies, y'all know y'all do it. Y'all know y'all do it. You know you do it. And you know the exact words to use in an argument that can cut us. And we do too. We do too. We all do it to each other, right? But ladies, y'all know y'all do that. So he goes on like this 5-minute rant, right? Like this scene was absolutely hilarious, right? He goes into this 5-minute rant where he's basically having a complete argument with himself. He's so mad. He's punching the air like train boys in the hood. He's doing all this stuff to get this anger up because the word mediocre is such a diabolical word to him. It's such an evil word to him. And he comes back, he cools off. And all he said was, "You think I'm mediocre?" And she's like, "Out of everything I said, that's what stuck out to you?" Again, tapping into those insecurities. We start to see that he's insecure. We starting to see that he has triggers. Obviously, he doesn't like when someone doesn't call his work excellent. He doesn't like when his stuff isn't put at a high pedestal. When something that he does isn't seen or is viewed not in the perfect light to him, he goes off. And we will get to that more later on in another argument. So, again, he's ticked off. She calls him mediocre. And all of a sudden, he continues to put his foot in his mouth. He gets angrier. He starts going into a soliloquy. And this is what starts argument number 3. He says, "You're so solipsistic." I don't think I said the word correctly. He basically said, "You're so you're egocentric that you see yourself in everything, even in things that you had nothing to do with." Because, again, she told him before that this movie is about me. She is constantly giving him scenes in which the main character reminds her of herself. He is constantly pushing it off. He is saying, "No, it's not about you. It's not. It's not. This movie is not all about you. Okay, it had nothing to do with you. And he's trying to push it off on her, saying, "You're an egomaniac. You're eccentric. You're self-centered. You think that everything that is around you is about you. You think that everything that I've done, everything that everybody else done, is revolves around you." And he said, and because she asked him earlier, if it's not about me, if the movie's not about me, she said who? And he's trying to play it off like people, people. This is about people, you know what I'm saying? My cousin, obviously he's fucking lying, and she knows that he's lying. But he's trying to avoid answering the question with the truth. Now we get to this point in the argument, chapter 3 of this argument, that we now get to the point that words are being said, nasty things are being said back and forth, hate is being spewed, right? Frustration is being spewed. He starts to list all of the people that the character is about. He starts to mention exes. This dude starts to mention exes, and he starts to mention mannerisms about the exes that he enjoyed. He mentions the ex and how she ties her shoes with 2 loops. He starts to mention, that's that bike ride scene. That wasn't about me and you in Barcelona. That was about me and so riding our bikes in New York. He starts to mention all these different things, all these great times with his exes, because he's so irate at the fact that she called him mediocre. And once again, that liquor is kicking in also. He's been drinking throughout this whole argument. So he's really starting to feel himself, and that liquor is really, really tapping into his emotions now, to the point where he had to mention exes. Why? To hurt her. This movie is spicy, man. This movie is spicy. And while he's mentioning the exes, he's also telling her that she is trying to exist in her she's trying to justify her existence. Like, damn. Like, you're trying to blame me for telling your story. You're trying to blame me and put the blame on me for this film that I created, because you're trying to justify why you exist. You're trying to justify your reasoning for being here. Basically telling her, you ain't shit. That's basically what he's telling her. And he's basically telling her, like, look, you don't want to keep this. You don't want to keep this argument with me. You don't want to continue this argument. You really don't want to, because I can snap you like a twig. He called her a level 1 boss in a video game. He said, you are nothing to me. This argument is easy, and I can break your spirit like that. I can snap you like a twig. That line, yeah, that'll come back to bite him in the ass later on, but that's not important right now. So he tells her, you're not the first broken girl that I've ever smashed or dated. I'm like, God damn. I'm sitting there like, bruh, what are you doing? Why you keep talking? You cannot be this upset. And even if you are that upset, pretend like you're not that upset. Leave. Go out. Take a walk. Sleep on the couch. Sleep in the bathroom. Get away from her. Why are you continuing in this argument? Why are you continuing to put your foot in your mouth? So he says this stuff, and this particular ex that he mentioned, and I'm going to read what he said, because it is such, you want to talk about damaging someone. You want to talk about making someone feel like such shit. You want to talk about verbally just burying somebody. He mentions this ex and he says, Tasha, she never cheated on me though. Obviously, Marie cheated on Malcolm in the past. So she's got that going for her. She constantly DMs me pictures of her daughter saying she wished she had a child with me. I send her heart emojis because I honestly don't know how to respond to that. You don't know how to respond to that? Nigga, don't respond at all. Why are you responding to this ex's pictures of the child? Why are you responding to your ex, bruh? And obviously, your ex is nasty because she's telling you while she's married, she's telling you that she wished she had a child with you. And the way you respond is you send heart emojis. Like, bruh, you're not saying, hey, I don't think this is appropriate. Hey, I don't feel comfortable with you saying this to me. You know, I'm in a relationship. You're not protecting your lady. You're not protecting your significant other. You are continuing to disregard her feelings, to disregard her as just a person, and indulge in things like this because you are so wrapped up in yourself. And then he says, I don't need you. I just love you. And then he gets to a point where he finally reveals the part that's about Marie. The part of this character that is about her. He reveals it. And he basically says, the end. And again, this is what he reveals. The end. The part that makes it such a tragedy. The part that she loathes herself so much because of all the guilt and all the shame that she can't let the good in. That's the part that's based on you. That there's someone on this planet that just loves her, despite not loving herself. That's you. That's the part that isn't fiction. I'm like, damn. Oh my God. I'm like, yo, you cannot be serious, bro. Like, why are you telling her this stuff? Why? Like, why are you telling her this stuff, bro? Like, shut up. Shut up. And because she was on drugs, right? Because she was addicted to drugs. Because she had gone through so many hardships, right? You basically call her life a tragedy. You're basically telling her you're tragic. You are not stable. Like, you don't love yourself. And because of me, because I'm here, I am trying to show you that I'm the only one who loves you. That I'm the only one that loves you. I just love you. I don't need you, but I love you. And it's like, damn. That is crazy, man. And it goes to show the stark difference of my thinking. Because like when I first watched this, I was like, yo, man, you kept egging him on. You kept enticing his argument. You kept messing with him. You could have just left it alone. And mind you, Marie she kept antagonizing him because, like I said before, she knows that's what she wanted. She wanted to entice him because he knows he couldn't help himself. But it's like, I'm thinking that the first time I watched, it's like, damn, man, just leave him alone. Just let it go. He's trying to smash. You want to smash too. Get that energy off. Go to bed. No, she couldn't let it go. She kept throwing the olive branch and he kept taking it like a fool. And I was thinking at that time, damn, you kind of deserve to know that. You kind of deserve to hear that. But when I watched it today, I was like, damn, come on, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, enough is enough. Like, can you please not say anything more hurtful? So he says that to her. She's irate. She gets out the tub. And mind you, he tells her all this while she's in the goddamn bathtub. He tells her this while she is soaking in the goddamn bathtub. Yo, man, this movie's a lot, man. So again, the music is great. So after she gets out the bathtub, he's out on the patio blowing off steam. She comes out, I should say, lights her up a cig, and she plays Dionne Warwick's Get Rid of Him. And this song is crazy, man, because in the song, you got basically this woman who knows that the man that she's with ain't shit, but she loves him anyway. And her friends are trying to convince her to get rid of him. And she's saying, no, even though I know he's a piece of shit, I still love him. I am still there for him. Even though I know he doesn't love me the way I love him, I am still there for him. And her friends keep saying, get rid of him. So she's playing that. She got her legs crossed. She is being ultra petty at this point. He did it to her earlier in the argument. She's doing it to him now. And that's the thing about this. Every punch, that's the thing about this. Like, I'm a boxing fan, right? And in boxing, you have two types of fighters. You have a fighter that's straightforward. They come at you, they're an attacker. And another type of fighter you have a counterpuncher. The counterpuncher works off your mistakes. If you throw a punch that's too low or too high or too wide, I got the perfect punch that can counter it and hurt you. Marie was hitting Malcolm with counter punches all throughout the night, and he didn't realize what was going on. This was just another counter punch. So he goes off. He gets a review from the LA Times. LA Times is pointing out things about the movie that that the writer could have saw differently, and he's saying all these things, and he's going off. But the one thing that she said is that the movie is a genuine masterwork. This movie is a genuine masterwork because he's thinking about all the negative things that she's saying. He just dismisses that. He doesn't see that. He does not see that at all, right? He's going off. And Marie is basically trying to put sense to him, like, bruh, she's saying that your work is genuinely a masterwork. Your film is a genuine masterwork. It's great. Calm the hell down. So, so you get to that point, you think, oh, they're about to finally blow the steam off. Then we're about to have a nice little sexy sex scene. They about to get it in. As they're talking while they're getting it in. And as they keep talking, and all of a sudden she asked me, why you didn't cast me in the movie, Malcolm? Why didn't you fight for me? She knows that regardless of what she was going through, she would have killed that role because that character is her. Like, that character is about her real life. It's about what she's going through. And you know what he says? So this is what this is about, huh? This is the freaking truth. You're just jealous. Again, she's asking him, why didn't you fight for me? Why didn't you fight for me and when auditions were here? Why didn't you vouch for me? I am your significant other. Why didn't you stick up for me? And his response is, you're just jealous. Again, not processing what the other person is saying, but because you're just so reactionary and because you're so heated, you want to continue to throw bomb after bomb after bomb and not acknowledging the things that she is saying. When you're in a relationship and when you have those arguments and when you have those debates and when you have those disagreements, It is so important to keep your mouth shut and keep your ears open. It is so important. Communication is so important. And it is so important to listen. Like I said earlier, so many times in a heated situation, we put up this wall, right? We put up this wall and we block everything. We block all the words. We block everything that's being said to us because we are so focused and we are so keen on getting our words out, getting our thoughts out, getting our argument out, that I'm going to disregard everything that you said to get my point across. She asked him, why didn't you fight for me? And he didn't. And again, he's been drinking the whole night. He didn't register that. Why didn't you fight to me translated to, oh, you're just jealous. Like, what? So she tells him that. He tells her that she's jealous. And then this is probably one of the most fascinating like lines of the movie. It's a one-liner, but it's so significant. She says, I can't tell my story anymore. Again, the premise of this movie, the premise of his film is about a recovering drug addict. She was dealing with addiction. She went through rehab. Marie is this person in real life. Marie went through all of this stuff. Marie is an actress. And Marie was trying to get to a point where she could tell her story, but she could no longer do it because Malcolm has someone else portray that character. Malcolm has someone else portray that character that represents her. And because he did that, he gets all the credit for telling her story. And she can no longer do it because the story will resemble the story in Malcolm's film. And she was demoralized. She was demoralized. And this is what he tells her, his response to that. He says, you have the talent, but it's not enough. You have to want it. You want to play the victim. You're intolerable. Again, instead of finding ways to de-escalate the situation, to find ways to comfort her, to find ways to stop and think for a second, to think for just a second about the words that she's saying, he has vigor in his heart. He wants to spew out all this stuff. And that is such a dangerous thing to do in a relationship. In any relationship, friendship, it's with any relationship you have with anybody. When you don't listen and when you spit out vigorous things, it can harm somebody permanently. She asked, why didn't you fight for me? He said, you want to play the victim. It's like, dude, maybe if you fight for me, maybe I wouldn't have to be in a position where I'm playing the victim. Maybe I wouldn't have to be in the position to where my insecurities are overwhelming me. Maybe I don't have to be in a position where I feel like I'm useless, I'm worthless. If you would have fought for me, if you would have helped me give the opportunity to portray my story on screen, then we'd be having an entirely different conversation. But he didn't do that. Again, instead of de-escalating, his anger and his ego is allowing him to further escalate. And she's basically telling him, after he said that, she goes off. She basically saying, the reason why you didn't cast me is because you would have to share the stage. Again, I'm your significant other. We're a couple. We're an item. As long as I'm your trophy case, as long as I'm your physical presentation, you're all fine and dandy with me. But if I had to share the spotlight with you, you would not have been able to handle it. Because this fictional story on camera, on screen, was my actual reality. You would not have been able to handle that. You would not have been able to handle the press that I would have gotten. You would not have been able to handle the success that I would have gotten, the praise that I would have gotten. Because you have to be the one in the spotlight. You have to be the one in the forefront. And again, instead of him processing the information, instead of him saying, damn, you may be right, I've been taking you for granted this whole time, I've been doing this, I've been ignoring you. I haven't appreciated you the way I should. He tells her that she isn't authentic. He calls her experience boring. He says, authenticity. That's all you have to offer. You've been an addict. Boring. You overdosing. It's not interesting. It's about transferring your emotions and all those movements into something cinematic and moving. He says that. They split up again. He's so pissed off. He goes outside. She's so pissed off. She goes into another room. He's sitting in the living room. At this point, drunk as a skunk. He's sitting there baffled. She comes out with a knife in her hand. She asks him, where are the pills? Where are the antidepressants? I haven't been clean this whole time. I've been lying. She goes on to say things like, oh, your friends? I smashed your friends. Oh, and another thing, I stole from your mother. And you want to know something? I don't care. I don't care that I cheated on you by smashing your friends. I don't care that I stole from your mother. I am not clean. I am still on these drugs. Where are my antidepressant pills? And mind you, he's scared shitless now because she had a knife in her hand. He doesn't know whether she's going to attack him or whether she's going to attack herself. She starts looking at him, and then she puts the knife down, and then she says, there's your authenticity. Hey, yo, Zendaya. I got to give Zendaya a round of applause. First of all, I got to give her and John David Washington a round of applause, man. The level of acting in this movie was phenomenal. A movie, like I said before, that on the surface is so simplistic, right? It's only two characters. They're at this one setting, at this one particular time in the day. A very simple setting, right? But for them to act the way they acted in this movie, I forgot that I was looking at John David Washington. I forgot that I was looking at the Zendaya. I actually thought I was looking at two motherfuckers named Malcolm and Marie, and I was watching a real life argument ensue. They did an outstanding job. And that monologue that she had, putting him in that position of fear and basically putting him in a situation where he didn't know whether she was going to harm him or harm herself. And the fact that she flipped the switch on him, it was absolutely amazing. And you know what this toxic nigga said? He said, well, why did you do that at the audition? After all that, he said, well, why didn't you do that at the audition? Fool, that ain't the point. The point is, you said that she wasn't authentic enough. She put on a full display in the kitchen where you thought she was actually being real. She showed you authenticity. And you had the nerve to say, well, why didn't you do that out there at the audition? Fool, why didn't you fight for her at the audition? Again, deflecting everything that you haven't done and trying to blame her for something. Malcolm a trip, man. Hey, this whole argument was a trip, man. But Malcolm is something else. Like Malcolm is he is something, man. So you finally get to the final argument, right? You know, they're talking about, you know, the main character and they're talking about the mannerisms and things like that. And, you know, one of the topics was, well, the main character was topless. And Malcolm is just like, well, okay, you know, she's topless, you know. You know, what's the big problem? And she made, and Marie is saying, well, it could have been better if you would have asked a dash of femininity. He's like, oh, here we go. Again, he's disregarding her point of view. He's disregarding her point of view. He starts an argument. And then and then she's basically saying, you know, it's not about you. It's about a whole bunch of people. She's basically telling him, you could have just said that. You could have told me, instead of naming your exes, instead of putting all the images in my head, it's going to tap into my insecurities. You could have just said, babe, that character was about a whole bunch of people. Now, mind you, he tried to say it. He tried to say it earlier. Because earlier in the movie, she asked him, okay, well, who's the character about? And he said, people. He said people. He just did it in a shitty way. Again, she baited him into this argument. She's been baiting him into these things all night. I'm not trying to say that Malcolm is the only one at fault. No, they're both at fault here. Because she's purposely baiting him into these arguments because she knows that he can't help himself. She's continuously putting batteries in the back of a monster. She's putting batteries in the Frankenstein. She is purposely egging him on, and he can't help himself. And that's why this argument has gotten to this point, to where they've had 5 arguments in one. And so she gets to a point where she says that you didn't thank me tonight because you're not afraid of losing me. You're not jealous enough. Like you take me for granted. You don't have the thought that I could ever leave you. You don't have the thought of maybe there's someone else better for me. You don't fear that. So that's why you don't value me like you should. You don't value me as an equal to you. You don't look at me as such. As they're finally getting these plow trucks out here. This snowstorm has been ridiculous. I'm tired of shoveling snow. But anyway, wrap this up. She's basically telling him, listen, I love you. I love you unconditionally. Why? Because I value mystery, the unknown. It's what supports the tension of a relationship and forces us to be the best versions of ourselves, the what if factor. That is very telling because, like I said, in exactly a week, I'll be married to my wife in 5 years, right? 5 years. And it just seems like these 5 years just flew by so quickly. I remember us being in the courthouse getting married at 8 a.m. on a Thursday. On a Thursday morning at 8 a.m. is me, my wife, and the judge. We've been married ever since. 5 years later, we're going strong. We've been happy. We have our moments where we can't stand one another. But that's in every marriage. That's in every relationship. But the one thing that you always want to do, you always want to keep things interesting with your significant other. You always want to give them the impression that, hey, you are the most important person in my life. You want to let them know, listen, there is no one that I would rather be with than you. I don't know what I would. You want to show them that I don't know what I would do if I would lose you. You want to let them know how valuable they are to you. She is telling him that because he doesn't see her as valuable, because he's not afraid of losing her, that because she hasn't left him, he doesn't care about the mystery. He doesn't care about the what if. He doesn't have to think about the what if because he knows that she's going to be there. And she's basically telling him, look, man, you can lose me. You can lose me. You can be without me. And I don't think you care. And that hurts. That cuts deep. It makes me feel like I am worthless, and it makes it feel like I am wasting my time here. It makes me feel like I'm nothing to you. She says, I'm trying to be the best girlfriend you ever had. Now listen. I had a problem with this because a lot of times in relationships, people try to compare themselves. Try to compare themselves to the significant other's exes. Oh, what did he do? You know, what didn't he do? What did she do? What didn't she do? You know, and we're trying to take mental notes and we're trying to make sure that we don't make those mistakes. Look, bro, if you're trying to compete with your significant other's exes, you are going to lose. You can't compete with that. All you have to do is be yourself and hope and wish that that person accepts you. Continue to be yourself. Continue to love your significant other. Continue to be there for you. And I guarantee it, those other people in the past, they won't matter. They don't matter. You can't have a competition with the past. It is unhealthy. Because when you try to have a competition with the past, it affects your present and it affects your future. Because this person is your present and your future. Can't do it. But so when she said that, I was like, eh. But she said, you don't get judged because you don't value mystery. You don't value the mystery, and you never asked, how can I be a better partner? You were telling me in a bathtub about how you were going to snap me like a twig. That is the best and worst part of who you'll be in this relationship. And that's what makes you forget to thank, and that's what allows you to forget to thank me in your speech. Hate being tongue-tied. And that's how you can forget to thank me in your speech. And this whole time, he's been telling her, look, up the game. You know, you want the initiative. You want the initiative. You got to have it. You got to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. You don't want it. And it all turns back on him in the end. And she tells him, you need to up your game. You need to step it up. We've been a movie for each other. Without me, what could you actually write? You need to become more creative than what you already are. Step your game up, bruh. And then she winds up telling him the speech that he should have told. She winds up telling him the thank you speech that he should have told her at the award ceremony. And it was so beautiful. She's telling all these things, that she's telling him all the things that she's done for him. She's highlighting all these different things. And instead of saying thank you, he says, I love you. And eventually, before they go to bed, he winds up saying thank you. And that's the argument. Woo! Malcolm and Marie is a trip. Now, I've seen comments today from people that honestly, I think they were trying to dig a little bit too deep into this movie. How, oh my God, that's just genuine love. That although they've gone through all the issues, they're still there for one another. They're showing authenticity in their love. No, they're not. There's nothing loving about what happened in that argument. There's nothing authentic. It's authentic. It's authentic with a lot of frustration, a lot of pain, a lot of anger. But it's not authentic when it comes to love. Listen, let me tell you something. And I wrote this on Facebook after I watched this movie for the first time. If I had that type of argument with someone, I don't want to see them for a few days. Hell, I don't want to be around you. I don't want you to be around me. I need to go. Because after the argument, they woke up the next day and the movie ends with them standing outside next to each other. It's like, how can, really? And it was a lot that I thought about while watching this movie and dissecting this movie. The first thing, and I can attest to this, when you're in a relationship with somebody or when you have a close relationship with somebody, it is so important to not hold stuff in. Like, during this argument, all this stuff was being held in for so long by these two. Like, these weren't just thoughts that they just came up with on the fly. No. These were thoughts that they've been having about each other for such a long time. And they've been trying to cover it up. As they mentioned in the movie, they've had arguments before, but nothing like this. Yeah, you haven't had arguments like this because you avoided those routes to lead to this. It had to take something like this for this argument to explode, for this argument to overflow. It had to happen this way. And when you hold stuff in, and when you carry stuff in, and if you don't be honest with your significant other earlier, when you don't let them know earlier, it will become a disaster. It will become a volcano. And this argument was a freaking volcano. Communication is so important in a relationship, folks. You have to be able to communicate with your significant other. You have to be able to know what he or she doesn't like. You have to be able to know words that may set them off. You have to be able to know when to cool it down, when to let it go. You have to be able to know, okay, I have to tell you this. I can't hold this in much longer. You have to be able to be vulnerable with your significant other and whoever else is close to you. You have to be able to be open and vulnerable. You cannot hold stuff in. Me, I used to have a huge problem with that. I struggle with that a lot, man. Like I used to internalize so much stuff. I used to hold so much stuff in, and then it got to a point where it would just drive me crazy, and I may lash out. I'll be 30 years old in August. I'll be 30 years old, and thankfully, I have gotten so much better with that. And the main reason why I've gotten so much better with that is because of my marriage. My marriage helped me so much. I've been able to effectively communicate with my wife. I've been able to, I've learned to, instead of holding things in, to be vulnerable. Instead of, pushing away and saying, I don't want to talk about that. I've been able to talk about things when I'm not comfortable. I've been able to express my emotions in my marriage. I've been able to be honest and be open. And then also in my marriage, I've also learned to say, listen, can we talk about this another time? I need to take a break. I need to take a walk. I need to be by myself. I've been honest in that. Because a lot of times in a relationship, when your partner knows you're upset and when they ask you what's wrong, ain't nothing wrong. That can start a whole other thing too. Instead of just releasing those emotions, you're trying to cover it up. And that'll just make the situation so much worse. But yeah, this wasn't this had nothing to do with love. And these two people love each other, but this wasn't a prime example of love, what true love is. No, it was not. Like this movie, in my opinion, is about two people who at the end of the day, they really don't need to be with each other. These are two people who need therapy. They need a therapist. They need to unleash a lot of anger, a lot of pain that they've dealt with. Or this is the couple who needs couples therapy. They need professional help to help guide them through this relationship, to help repair this relationship. Because that argument that they had in that movie, I guarantee you, it'll be so many couples out there that would say, you know what, I'm done with you. I can't deal with this no more. Screw you. You are a piece of shit. I'm done with you. This movie, man, was a lot, man. And I'm going to keep it a buck. I watched it twice. I don't need to watch it no more. But at the end of the day, Malcolm and Marie was an outstanding movie. Zendaya and John David Washington did an outstanding job. Man, they really tapped into those characters, man. And they definitely brought out the emotion. They definitely brought out the emotion in the movie. They definitely, like I said earlier, they made me feel that they were actually Malcolm and Marie, that they were actually this couple in this troubled relationship that just boiled over this one night. And man, like I said, if you haven't seen it, you know what? Valentine's Day is this weekend. You don't need to see this movie before Valentine's Day. Maybe wait a week or so. Do not watch this before Valentine's Day. I'm telling you, this is the type of movie that may get you in trouble. This is the type of movie that may start an argument in your house, in your relationship. Let Valentine's weekend go and then watch the movie. Oh, man. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, y'all. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. Once again, you can catch On the Mic every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Facebook and on YouTube. We will be streaming live every Thursday on Facebook and on YouTube. You can check out all of this episode and all the past episodes on the Mic on YouTube. You can go on the Mic Productions YouTube channel. Please subscribe. If you check up all the past episodes, smash that like button. If you like what you see, please share it onto your social media platforms. Once again, if you want to be a guest on the Mic, please hit my inbox. Please hit my inbox. Let me know. Reach out to me. We can collaborate. We can chop it up, and we can put on a hell of a show. Also, if you want to shop with my wife, check out her Etsy account. Check out her Etsy shop at etsy.com/shop/RavenJArt. Once again, go to her Etsy shop at etsy.com/shop/RavenJArt. Also, you can check out me and my buddies, as I'm running a little late here, but you can also check out the Under the Ring podcast, which I will be hopping on to after I sign off here on Twitch. You can check us out at twitch.tv/undertheringpod. Once again, you can check us out on twitch.tv/undertheringpod. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/undertheringpod. Also, another Twitch channel that I want you to check out is my sister's Twitch channel. You can check her out at twitch.tv/mo_2_times. Once again, check out her YouTube channel at twitch.tv/mo_2_times. And with that being said, people, this is your boy Mike Jones. I appreciate you for tuning in for the latest installment on the Mic, and I will see you next Thursday. Much love.